Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Park Bench, episode 4. It is June 24th, and it's a hot one. I'm CParks.
And I'm Golden Rose Kay.
And we're going to talk about video games on the internet today.
Video games galore.
Yeah. What did we have last week? Last week,
What did we see last week?
last week we talked about the Donkey Kong Direct announcement. FBC Firebreak. What else did we talk about? We talked about what's a Souls like. And we talked for like 3 hours, man. We yap.
There was a game that I wish I wrote down somewhere where I saw over the weekend that was like, it's a something like, and I was like, oh man, I was like, Chris, I should have sent this to you. Completely forgot though.
God damn it. Yeah, so today's topics, we have the Donkey Kong Direct impressions.
Yeah.
We had the Sega sales leak, which is kind of interesting and exciting. Happy birthday, Sonic. Sonic's birthday was yesterday. We're going to talk about some Sonic games.
Not to derail the whole show, Chris, real quick, but do you prefer Sega, like the sing-songy, or do you prefer the Sega?
No,
the commercial?
The sing-songy Sega. That one.
Cool.
I don't.
I'm with you too.
Yeah, not that Sega. No. What else we got? We've got a game coming out called The Blood of Dawnwalker. Talk about that for a little bit. Look at that. There's like a 20-minute gameplay demonstration video they have. I'll throw that up while we talk about this game. I'm going to talk a little bit about player expression and creativity in games, because I think that's something that's kind of popping off in a certain sense right now. And then also like the rise of simulators, which to me is weird. It's interesting for sure, but yeah, there's a lot of simulators coming out.
Arguably too many, but who knows?
Arguably too many. I'm trying to get my correct chat thing up here. Hold on. Capture window. Boop, there it is. So I can pop things on and off screen. So let's kick it off. Number one topic, the Donkey Kong Direct impressions.
Banana.
What did you think about this? I don't know why this isn't capturing, but let's go.
Yeah, I'll start yapping. So Donkey Kong Bonanza, the Direct, left me. I'm excited. I was a little more excited than I was when before we got a lot of the information, before I got to see a lot of it kind of play out.
Yeah.
I think that the Pauline angle is really cool. I see people, online rather annoyingly arguing about the timeline, but the timeline doesn't make sense. I'm like, it's Mario. The timeline isn't real.
I think it's funny if it's a bit. I don't care for real though. I don't care about the timeline personally.
Yeah, they're like, but Cranky Kong was the first one. Pauline was an adult, and then I'm like, all right, I don't know. This is Pauline's granddaughter. Who knows?
Named Pauline. Wouldn't be the first time there was a character named the same thing. So yeah.
But yeah, no, I watched this whole Direct, and I was like, yeah, this looks like fun. The music is incredible. A lot of remix versions of like Jungle Japes and Donkey Kong Country music. You hear the DK rap, like not like the rapping part, but the music behind the DK rap.
You hear a
At one
little
point in the
bit of
trailer.
it, of like
Yeah, and
some lyrics.
I'm so excited. I watched the direct and I was like, this is gonna make me cry. I'm gonna play this game. And Pauline, like very, I think one of the things I was surprised about was how Disney Pauline
Yes.
songs sound like. They sound very like that. Yeah, just like very Disney.
Yes. I saw
Um,
somebody compare it to like I like watching people's reactions and stuff. And I saw
mhm.
one person, can't remember who, just be like, "Did they make this Frozen? Is this Disney now?"
Yeah, that's 100% what I was like. I was getting Frozen vibes, which I'm
Hmm.
all for.
Yeah. Also to go with the music, which like you said was amazing.
Mhm.
Nintendo and their music soundtracks are incredibly popping off right now on the Switch too.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm fairly certain that the song that Pauline is singing in like the intro and I think outro, I think they might be the same thing. Um, is a lyrical version of the original Donkey Kong song. I think it's a
Oh,
remixed song of the original DK song with lyrics on it,
awesome!
which
I
is
love that.
yeah, which is just funny, cool, good fun. Um,
Hmm.
while I was watching this direct, so last week I said I was like I don't need to see any more for this game, and I
Yeah.
didn't. I've been doing a thing with movies recently where if I know I want to go see it, I'm not watching trailers for it anymore.
Hmm.
Um,
Because trailers are spoilers.
and that trend started with uh Godzilla X uh King Kong. I almost said Donkey Kong.
Godzilla X Donkey Kong.
Godzilla X not triple X.
You added too many X's. I don't know. It's a different movie.
Godzilla and the King Kong movie. I was like, I know I'm gonna see this stupid movie. Why do I need to see more trailers for it? And then I just started doing that for like other real movies. Um, and so like I felt the same way about this, where I was like, I'll want to buy it. I don't need to see more. Um, and like the start of this trailer, um, going through most of this, like even up to where we are here, I was like, yeah, this is basically everything I knew. I was like, oh, sonar, okay, that's sure, yeah. You need something to be able to find all of the
Hmm.
all of the golden bananas, which are
Does it make sense for a monkey to have sonar? Who knows?
absolutely. Um, but yeah, most of this I was just kind of like, yeah, this is what I figured. It's a little more expansive on what we had seen from the demos and what we had heard. So it's cool. We're seeing a little more like different areas and biomes, whatever. Um, once it got to like the transformations part is when I was like, they're going crazy. What is
When he's
happening?
like a zebra man. Yeah.
Yeah. So even just like I mean this part, even with the sand, the soft sand sticking to each other, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't think I thought it was only destruction, but look, he's building stuff. Um, but yeah, they get to the transformations and they show like the first one, which was like the Donkey Kong Bananza transformation as a gorilla, where he's got his buns out. Um,
He does have his buns out. He's very
full
caked up.
full buns on display. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And then yeah, then it goes to the zebra, and I was just like, that's gross, but I love it. And then it goes to the ostrich, and I'm like, ew, I still love it though. Um, and then it like slowly started painting more of a picture of like how you play this game, how you move around. And I was like, okay, this seems fun. It seems potentially faster than I thought it would have been at first.
Mhm.
Because like Mario and Mario Odyssey, he's very agile. Um,
Yeah, you're doing a bunch of movement tech at all times.
and so like Donkey Kong seems like it's got a little bit of that, more than I would have expected. So that's cool. Um, and then yeah, it just like from like this moment in the trailer now after he transforms, it's just like a constant like thing after thing where I'm like, what do they do? They added that. They added these transformations. They added skill points. Oh, look, there's ruins like in Breath of the Wild's shrines. Like, dang, there's a lot more going on here than I originally thought. On top of like the crazy orchestral, very musicy feel that they had, I thought it looked great.
Yeah, yeah. I think Nintendo might be in a little bit of this era where they like are trying to make their games a little bit more complicated on the top end. Like, there's obviously still accessibility and like appealing to kind of all challenge levels, but there seems to be a lot more like top heavy stuff. Like you can really go crazy um if like with if you really start to understand the mechanics, and this doesn't seem like that far away from that. There seems to be a lot of like different rocks where you can like float around, and like can imagine utilizing that with other types of movement tech. um yeah, I think it looks sick.
From what I have seen, I'm assuming it's nothing official has been said. But before this coming out, people were like, it's got to be the Odyssey team, right? It's got to be the
Mhm.
Odyssey, which like it did before, and it still does look very Odyssey like to me. Like if you said like this was made on the same engine that they made Odyssey in, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that for sure.
Mhm.
There's a lot of just things about the terrain and the colors and a lot of it that just looks Odyssey like. And then there's the little shops with like the stuff shop and the clothing store, which look very much like the stores in Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Um, Nintendo, I don't think has said what team is making this, which is a thing they're doing now where they're like
Mhm.
not letting people know who actually made these games until like
Yeah, you
just
roll credits.
just like yeah. But from what I saw, the word was that this is a new team with members of the Odyssey team. Um, so that's also brings into people's like uh the forefront of people's minds is like, well, when are we getting a new Mario then? If this was like even just like a handful of those people, did that delay the next 3D Mario?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a possibility, but I honestly don't think it really did. Like, there's equal opportunity to like be able to co-develop two games. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo's developing a bunch of games always, and they have a whole bunch of different teams. And the bigger team size doesn't always mean faster. So like if they offshoot part of, you know, the Bonanza, I mean the Odyssey team to make Bonanza, and then you have the other half of that, start working on like Odyssey 2 or 3D Mario
Or
next.
yeah, whatever.
um then you have a whole bunch of teams that like if you find yourself running into like a wall, because like what they're working on that for X amount of time, and then like if they need to, they'd be like, hey, the Super Mario Wonder team, hey, we're making this, come help us out, or what have you, right? Like Nintendo like is seems to be very efficient with like their development cycles, depending on what they want. And they're like, I don't know, because like they're always sitting on games.
Yeah.
So like, I think if Mario Odyssey is like, I mean, Mario 3D Next or whatever comes out like a year or two from now, it's just because that's when they wanted to release it.
That is absolutely how Nintendo works. Is they're just like, well, because yeah, I think they did it with like I think it was Pikmin. I think like
Mhm.
Pikmin 3 or 4 was like done, and they just sat on it, and they were just like, yeah, you know, it's not the right time
Mhm.
yet. We got
Hmm.
it's good to go, but like it's just not time. Um, which like I kind of get it because they like to fill out their year, and not like front load certain months or whatever. But
Hmm.
another point that I wanted to make with like the teams making this and like, does that mean Mario's farther off? Whatever. Um, when you start a game, you don't need the whole team, So
Hmm.
like, I don't think it's that detrimental to a time frame to have part of the team leave to go do something else while another part of the team is like putting together the world building, like the writing or the basic gameplay mechanics or whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think that this means that 3D Mario is like 3 years away, like I saw some people saying. I think we could get it next year,
Hmm.
potentially. Um I think, yeah, 3D is the next like cycle because Wonder was the last one, right? So
Yeah,
nobody can make the excuse like, oh, they'll make another 2D game first. They could. Who the heck knows?
they could, and they could
Nintendo,
make another 3D Mario World. They could do like
the
the
3D
weird
world.
ISO, yeah,
Yeah,
3D
yeah.
World one.
Yep. Yep, they could. Um I'm trying to even think like maybe the
Man, this
next
map system's gonna drive me crazy though.
the map? What?
In DK Bonanza. Sorry, I just saw it pass by on the stream for me. Like the way that the map like works and like how you move it around and swing it around.
It looks very Metroid
Yeah,
to me. It looks
yep,
very
yeah.
Metroid Prime.
I'm gonna be fighting with it.
If I had the volume on for you guys, this is where the DK rap was.
Yeah.
Um what was I saying though? I don't remember, but moving on. This game has a lot of just like very cute, goofy things going on, like the teleporting, the televators, which I think this creature is called a tela.
Hmm.
So teleport and televator, very very cute. Um, a great looking photo mode. Uh, what else do they have? The all the puns with like Bananergy and whatnot. It's
Big fan of Bananza.
Bananergy is my favorite out of all the puns. Um, this mode that they're showing now is the Mario Galaxy mode. Instead of throwing the bits, you're throwing
Words, yeah, you get to use a power
onomatopoeias.
from that's in a JoJo Bizarre Adventure season. Somebody has this exact power.
Really.
Uh, one of the things I wanted to bring up that I forgot to earlier is that what's interesting to me about the transformations, like Donkey Kong historically has a lot like of animals, everywhere around. They're all animals, but like DKC, you ride on Rambi and then the ostrich whose name I don't remember, and a couple other the parrot. Um, and this seems to be like their way of incorporating that. And I'm actually surprised that Rambi is just in the game outside of like a transformation. So like I'm kind of interested to see what they do that because they obviously are like we do care about our lineage, even though like Donkey Kong's in that weird place where like everyone's favorite Donkey Kong games aren't Nintendo made. Uh, but they seem to be
Well,
caring about that. I know I took a screenshot and sent it to you. Like you can see Diddy and Dixie, and I'm like, hell yeah,
yeah, in
I'm
a
happy
couple
they're there.
places, two places.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, to build off what you're saying with like the animals, like I thought it was interesting to see Rambi multiple times. There's a point
Hmm.
in the video where you are riding on Rambi. Um, but like yeah, the zebra transformation is very much the Rambi function.
Hmm.
In my it's
Yeah,
it's
100%.
the quick charge through enemies function. I'm I'm sure the clip later in here where you are riding on Rambi alongside Diddy and Dixie riding on a Rambi. It's probably like a challenge mode or something. Here's the first place where Diddy and Dixie show up. Um, it just blows up Dixie for some reason.
two
Uh,
two characters now with controversy around them. You hate to see it.
um, but yeah, I'm glad they showed Diddy and Dixie. I'm glad they didn't completely omit them, especially after seeing the Diddy Kong render.
Mhm.
Um, they're very clearly backseat in this game.
Yeah, this is DK's story.
Yeah, DK and Pauline.
Pauline's story. It's really probably Pauline's story, and DK's just there to,
I mean
you know.
this story is Pauline was tr- like trapped inside of this awful rock formation. She breaks free, and now she's trying to get to the center of the planet to get her wish granted to return home.
Mhm.
And Donkey Kong's story is I like the banana.
Yep, 100%, one for one.
Oh, also
Uh,
this part right here that they just showed in the trailer
mhm,
where where she's getting eaten by this thing. Oh, back up again. Um,
mhm.
I'm gonna go on record with a prediction. She gets eaten. She gets eaten here, and then you go inside after
Mhm.
her. Because
Okay.
if you look at that thing's mouth, especially
Mhm.
when I hit play again, it looks like uh it looks similar to like a teleporter from
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
the ruins that they show earlier.
And I'll take it farther, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Remix Aquatic Ambience plays, and we see Swordfish friend.
Oh, didn't even think of that. We gotta
Yeah.
see
You know what?
Swordfish Friend.
I wish I remembered anyone's name that's not Rambi.
I wouldn't have
Which
remembered
sucks.
Ramby's.
I got two. I got two.
I would not have
Fox the
remembered
bird.
Ramby if he was not uh named in this direct.
And guard Genomancer, you're so
But
right.
and guard, that's very good.
Now it's
That's
only the ostrich. I don't remember.
yeah. Um actually I think Engard was my favorite, and I think part of it was because his name. And I was like, heck yeah, that's cool. When I was younger at least. Um so yeah, that looks great. Are you under the feeling that many people have where this should have been a launch title?
Um, Nintendo is Nintendo. And as we talked about kind of earlier, hinted at, is that they want like the game per month thing now. I would have been happier with this being a launch title. Um, just because of like, I'd have a game that I want to sink more of my time in. Like I like Mario Kart World, but I'm very much more of a casual. I'm not as like I don't have the grind set, but doing a single player kind of collect-a-thon type thing is very much more of my speed. So yeah, I would have liked to have it. But again, this is gonna just be another reason to sell more copies a month later, where like maybe you have money again to spend your dollars on a game, and then they just want to do that every month. They want one thing.
Yeah, I was trying to think like why a month out
Mhm.
did they need to do a release for this game? And my thoughts were the whole, month, like don't put too much in one month.
Mhm.
Um maybe it was so they could still sell consoles outside of the launch week,
Mhm.
like maybe it helps just like I think it goes along with like the game a month thing. It's just like it just helps momentum, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's like keeps the conversation of the Switch 2 always in your head every month.
Other than that though, other than like business decisions like that, I don't imagine there's any reason why this game was not ready to launch on day one.
Yeah,
Um,
I imagine it's ready.
I'm not worried about it though. Like it doesn't bother me that it's a month away. Um, I'm happy with what I got at launch, which like a lot of people aren't going to be. Obviously, like there's a
Hmm.
lot of people who are just like I don't want to play Mario Kart. Um, but it works out fine for me.
You reminded me of two things. One, actually three things now. Real quick, is that I know for a fact that like friend of the show, Big Funyun, um, bought his Switch 2 because he wants to play Donkey Kong, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna buy it though and get it for Donkey Kong." So like what Dinnerman said. I mean, if they didn't want Mario Kart, why would they buy a Switch at launch?
Yeah,
Who knows why he bought a Switch at launch, but he did, and he's excited for Donkey Kong more than anything.
yeah,
Um, and then two was that we didn't talk about it, but in the direct, you can game share this to a Switch One,
yeah. That's cool. I'm imagining
which is crazy a little bit.
I'm imagining it's just like a game stream.
Yeah, like yeah.
Um, but like, is that what it is for normal game share too? To like a Switch 2? Is it just like a stream, like a video stream to it? Which like I saw this and was immediately like why wasn't this talked about before as just like a Switch capability? Why wasn't game Did I miss it? Was game share being shared across generation like a feature that they talked about? I don't think it was.
No, I really like. I remember them talking about like game share with the Switch, and I was like, I Switch 2, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I
Yeah.
don't really remember having it for the Switch One. I remember it for like the 3DS a little bit. Um, but they were just like all of a sudden in this trailer, they're like, yeah, and you can like have your like friend play with you on the Switch One. And I'm like, what, what is this new tech that you're hiding from us?
Yeah, I
What else
think
can the Switch 2 do?
I it's the fact that that wasn't known ahead of time and then is like now a thing. I imagine has some parents out there just being like, "What the hell?" Like I didn't like I just sold the regular Switch that we have. You're telling me I could have had both my kids playing a game together and not fighting over the Switch 2? But,
Yeah,
Nintendo's, I don't know.
Nintendo.
The things that they do and think about is weird. Move this over a little bit. Yeah,
You're
Nintendo.
in a seg. This is a perfect place for a segue. I want you to hit it.
Are you talking about what? Uh, I don't know what Nintendo does. Sega don't. I don't.
You got it. You got it. Enough.
Sega has
I was just like, I really knew. Like, I was like, Chris, please, and my pleading in my head, and I'm like, you can do it.
streamer brain. Um, Sega sales leaked. Sega sales leaked.
I'll
Um,
pull this up for me too.
I I saw this article, and then I think you also brought this up. Let's
Mhm.
get this. This is gonna work. Yeah, Sega just accidentally leaked its own sales numbers, and somehow Sonic Frontiers sold more than the last two mainline Yakuzas combined. But Persona
Yeah.
5's putting the rest of the stable to shame. This is from PC World, PC Gamer, PC Gamer. Um, it's interesting to
Mm-hmm.
see uh sales numbers for a company that I didn't think hid sales numbers. It wasn't something that I thought about because some companies are out there talking about their sales.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Nintendo is not one of those. Apparently, Sega's not either. But can I? How do I? What's the boop boop boop? How do I make this
Control
bigger?
mouse wheel. You gotta make it.
I'm trying to. It's not. Oh, boop boop. Okay. Wham, wham. Oh my gosh, I hit the wrong thing. It's
Right. Well, I find it really interesting because again, sales numbers, well, we don't get very often from a lot of Japanese companies, outside of like milestone sales. Like you see something like Metaphor sold 1 million in
right.
like a day or whatever. Um,
Crash Team
which is
Racing somehow sold
you know,
10 million.
yeah, which is like crazy. So like you get those every once in a while, but I just think it's a really fascinating group of games to kind of um
Compare.
compare, especially with like what I consider to be like critical darlings and like mass appeal games. Like we
Hmm.
get a little bit of both in here.
Hmm.
Um, like I mean, obviously Persona 5 Royale, which I don't know. I don't think it says anywhere in this article. I read it before. I don't know if that includes Persona 5 Standard, like, and they're just lumped in as one. Um, but like obviously that game was a zeitgeist game in 2017, and really kind of like everyone was playing it, or like everyone was talking about it. They're like the new Persona game. Everybody, it's like the best JRPG of the last X amount of time. Ignoring that, you have Sonic Frontiers being silly Sonic in a game I like, a proof of concept game that I like, selling 4.57 million.
And
And that you go.
and just to like touch on like what I said about Crash Team Racing, just announced that they sold 10 million, and thank you Domo in chat saying that 10 million CTR sales still baffles me. I thought it was crazy before, and I was like, that seems
Mhm.
like a lot. Wow. And then I saw this list and was like, what the like, are we sure Crash Team Racing sold 10 million? Because yeah, like Persona 5 Royale only sold 7 million. Team Sonic Racing did 3.5 million, which I thought that sounded like a lot.
Mhm.
Sonic Frontiers, like you were saying, like just under 5 million. So like, um, yeah, Crash Team Racing baffles me that it sold 10 million. But we're not here for Crash Team Racing. We're here for Sonic.
Mhm. You're for
And
Sonic.
and I love that Sonic Frontiers sold that much.
Mhm.
I love that Team Sonic Racing sold that much because again, it sounds like a lot to me. Especially when you look at how all of the Like a Dragon games did, including the
Mhm.
Yakuza Like a Dragon. Um, the Team Sonic Racing game specifically selling that much gives me like even more hope for Crossworlds to do really well. It already
Especially with
seems
all the marketing ties and yeah.
it seems like it has a lot more hype behind it than Team Sonic Racing did, and even then like Transformed had and whatnot. Um, so that's comforting seeing these numbers. Um, I love like I love seeing the things that aren't uh I guess those like critical successes being on here, like well, I guess that I would consider anyway critical successes. Like I wouldn't think of Total War 3 Kingdoms or Total War Warhammer in that
Mhm.
section of like uh the like critical successes because of the type of games they are. They're just like a little more under the
Yeah.
radar. But like they
Yeah, those two games are games that I play quite a bit. I literally spent my entire day yesterday playing Warhammer 3 with one of my buddies. We just went through a played for like 8 hours straight. Um, and Three Kingdoms I is very dear to my heart because the setting and the book that it's based off is something I love a lot. And those are like more hobbyist games when you like come down to it. Like
exactly,
you
yeah.
like a strategy 4K with like war sim stuff going on. Like yeah, that's not mass market appeal. That being said, Three Kingdoms itself specifically is like in China is considered one of like the greatest books ever written. It's very important like culturally to them.
Hmm.
You can kind of see like that game getting as many sales more than Warhammer 3 because it sells so well to the Chinese market. Um Still an incredible game though. I still really like it. Um so it gets a little bit of that bump. And for like the Like a Dragon series, it's I was so fascinating to me because like I love those games. I played Yakuza Like a Dragon at launch, um, and that was like my onboarding to the Yakuza franchise. And it was a great place to onboard because they're like Kiryu is like the main character of 0 through 7.
Hmm.
Push him to the side. But then it's interesting to see the follow up to that, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is Yakuza 8, um, which has much more Kiryu heavy and way more lore heavy, not reach the sales numbers. Granted, there's a bit more time since Yakuza 7's been out, and then Yakuza 8's been out for like a year and a half.
Right, because
So,
this does mention
you know.
this is just total sales for a 5-year
Mm-hmm.
period.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it can hit that point. But at the same time, like, it's interesting to see, like, um, where something kind of lands in like marketability with also like how well it sells and that kind of stuff.
I'm also curious for things for information like how Game Pass affects this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I have to really look into that.
because I think each of those Yakuza games, I'm not sure about actually the two Like a Dragon games, but the Yakuza Like a Dragon game I think
Mm-hmm.
was on Game Pass.
Yes.
I thought the other two Like a Dragon games were on Game Pass. I could be wrong, but um, I like it's I'm interested to know like how Game Pass affects game sales 5 years ago compared to now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if that's a reason why maybe sometimes sales look a little lower, it's because people aren't buying it; they're just playing it on Game Pass. Or does a Game Pass download count as a sale? I,
Yeah, I would imagine that.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have no. Yeah, I don't know actually. Um, it's just like one of those things. Like I love seeing these numbers now, and I wish like, I mean, I like transparency in all of our fun little corporations.
Yeah, fun
And like, so
little.
I wish we got these numbers more. Um,
Yeah,
like just as a like a way to be like, all right, yeah, no, let's like we could actually see because I all we can do is guess at like, oh yeah, Game Pass is good question mark for industry until someone like the Journey Planet, I don't remember the name of the game,
Savage
was like
Planet game.
yeah, it was like Game Pass actually bad, and then it's just like, well, now it's just like case by case, like it's gonna work sometimes and not work other times. And
Do
there's no
you
real way for us to study it. Sorry.
do you know which Savage Planet game said that?
No.
Because there was that
The most recent one, maybe.
because I was gonna say if it was the most recent one, I think that most recent one needed Game Pass personally
Mhm.
from my perspective. I think most people played that because of Game Pass, but whatever. Um, a part of this article that I wanted to touch on is they say the biggest surprise for me is how well Sonic games are selling to this day. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. They mention
Superstar is getting 2.4 million. It's kind of a little surprising to
that
me.
okay, maybe a little bit, but kids love Sonic.
Hmm.
You have the movies. Adults like Sonic. Yeah, like look at like all back behind me.
There's also a Sonic. Also, I don't know if you can. It's easy to see. I don't want to take him down, but I have Mighty behind me. Mighty's pretty cool.
Mad Tea Party, you do not hate Sonic. Um so yeah, I'm not surprised to see Sonic games selling as well as they have. Um just because he like that's Sega's dude and he's been around since 1991. Um so yeah, I'm not surprised. There's other stuff on here like I said that I'm a little more surprised about, but Sonic selling is like almost a guarantee for me.
Hmm.
There are other Sonic games that I would like to know the sales for.
Tell me how much Sonic 4 made, please. I want to know. I desperately need to know.
Sonic 4 Episode 1, Sonic 4 Episode 2. They canceled Episode 3. Um, oh man, there was what was the Sonic game before Frontiers? Eggman Stan in the chat.
Before Frontiers, I mean, there's Forces, obviously. There's Mania. There's
Forces. Oh, it
the
was Forces.
yeah. Mhm.
That one. I can't. Sonic Forces seemed like a bust to me.
But
But
you
who
can make
knows?
your own Sonic persona.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts to see. And you know what? That might be the exact reason why so many people got Sonic Forces is they could finally put their Sonic OC in a real game next to Sonic. Oh yeah, I guess I could do that. I could just get this guy out here. Ugh.
There you go.
There he is. Look at him. And then also, um, yeah, this is for Sonic because, uh, along with these Sega sales leaks, Sonic had a birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Do you want to talk about that stuff now? Are we done with the Sega sales?
Yeah, yeah. I said my piece.
Okay. Yeah, Sonic had a birthday. Sonic turned 34.
Mm-hmm.
Old man.
Yeah, 2 years older than me.
What?
Sonic?
Yeah.
2 years older than me. What are you talking about?
Damn. You're so old.
I am.
I don't. Are you 32?
Yeah, I'm 32.
What the hell? I'm 2 years older than Sonic. There are people lying in chat about their age, by the way. I just want to say that out loud.
Okay.
And it's not Dinnermancer.
We don't know.
She's not 40. So
Crush 40, maybe.
she's almost 40. She's not 40. So yeah, Sonic had a birthday. 34 years old. I think I've been playing Sonic since the start. I had Sonic 1 at least on the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember getting it. I just remember it being there. I was just alive and Sonic 1 was there for me. And I never looked back from Sonic the Hedgehog.
I had, again, like similar circumstances. Like, I remember when I moved back to New Hampshire, so around like 5 or 6, I had a Genesis with Sonic 1 and 2 in it. So that would have been like 97, 98. And I remember like playing them a lot and being like, wow, this is good. But like, I think in my heart, I am I'm a little bit more of a Mario kid just because I had Mario first.
I get it.
But like, I still love them both. They're both my guys.
Yeah, I was a Sonic guy because I had the Genesis, but I would go to my cousin's house to play Mario because he had the Super Nintendo. Until Nintendo 64. Then I got Nintendo 64. And have gotten every Nintendo console since. Have not gotten every Sega console since the Genesis. I had the Genesis, I had the 32X, I had the Game Gear.
I also had the Game Gear.
I did not get a Sega CD. I did not get a Sega Saturn. I did not get a Sega Dreamcast. Dreamcast is the one I wish I had, but...
I'm the same boat as everything you just said there, except for I did get a Dreamcast.
Well, la-di-da.
I wish I had a Saturn. It's one of the only consoles I don't own right now.
I feel like there's like a weird, almost Saturn nostalgia happening right now in like indie games. I've seen a couple indie games that are like very Saturn-esque in their like polygons and color schemes, and it's weird. It's a weird thing happening. Yeah, Sonic turned 34, and Sonic's got potentially three games that are still coming out this year. Um, did I capture this correctly? There's Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which we all know is happening already. Um, and then Sonic, Sonic Racing Crossworld. Let's see, that's September 25th, so that's a couple months away. There's also Sonic Rumble, which has been announced for a long time now,
Yeah.
and has been delayed. You can still play it. I've played it, but it's not officially released. Um, and then also Sonic Blitz, which again, it's a weird thing where it's like, I don't think it's actually announced. I think we just know that it's happening and
And
have
there are
like
people playing it and releasing
videos of
like
it.
videos of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Sega's doing weird stuff right now with their Sonic game releases. Transformed is the big thing right now. Not Transformed. Sonic Racing Crossworlds. You see SpongeBob on the screen, which is nuts.
mhm.
They announce Ninja Turtles and Avatar coming sometime later. Heck yeah, I don't need another video game. I have Sonic and the Ninja Turtles in one game together. This is the big Sonic game coming out this year. Rumble's cool
Mhm.
and neat. It is a mobile game, but it's love getting ads. I'm not downloading my videos. Um,
um
but that and Blitz are both like side projects for mobile. Okay. Um, that I wish would just like they just talk about more. That's the point I want to make is like Sonic Rumble and Sonic Blitz have Sonic Rumble has all the information out there with tons of people playing it and they're just like not showing it. I'll show you Sonic Blitz right here. Here's some gameplay. This is the game that's really weird. Like you said, there's people playing it. There's content being made for this game, this card game that I don't think Sega has officially announced. What are we doing, Sega? Is this like does this just play
yeah.
into your leaks? Why we just went over your leaks? Is this also part of the leaks?
But like at the same time, like again, like they're like people are playtesting it and not apparently not NDA'd, like to
Apparently
not
not.
showcase it. So like maybe it's just like a weird they don't want to spend the marketing on it, and so they're just kind of like having this kind of grassroots like marketing push where like people are like, oh yeah, check out this game that I got to play, blah blah blah. Like it could just be like them doing that instead of blasting our our content with check out Sonic Blitz. It's like Marvel Rivals,
I
not
I
Rivals, Marvel Snap. There
I,
we go.
I do think there is something to be said. There is a good point you can make, which I hadn't thought about until you just started talking about this. Where people do feel special knowing about things they think they shouldn't know about. So that could potentially help its interest and excitement where like people are like, "Oh, look, I got this Sonic game. It's leaked. Look how cool I am." And I have this, so I'm saying it's really cool. And now, like, all you kids are gonna think it's cool too. So I don't know. There's something to like it almost feeling bad, like a naughty thing that you're not supposed to know about. Um, what we do know from this gameplay is, yeah, it's kind of Marvel Snap ish. It's kind of like baby snap.
Mhm.
I think I described this before, where like part of it almost felt like baby's first card game. I'm sure there's some depth to it. Um, it's similar to Marvel Snap, where Marvel Snap you're fighting over three locations. You're trying to gain power in three locations. This is not that exactly. There are two, I guess what I would call lanes, and you're just trying to
Mhm.
deal deal damage and protect yourself in those two lanes. Um, it almost reminds me of like a Clash Royale, if anyone knows
Oh
Clash
yeah, yeah,
Royale.
yeah. I can see that.
Kind of reminds me of that, but just more just streamlined, straight card effects happening rather than like playing a card that puts a guy on the field that automatically moves and attacks. And I don't know, it's a little slower. It feels tactical, feels good. It's a good game. Um, this kind of looks and
There's
feels
also
that way.
a Sonic crossover with another mobile game. I think they just announced recently too. I don't like Sonic's just in whatever game that they're in. Sonic. This is live.
Uh, I know,
I didn't put any of this in the document before, but
I know there was Sonic, um, in PSO2 recently.
oh yeah, but everything's in PSO2.
Mm,
Is
that's
it Squad
for the
Busters?
best. Um,
Squad Busters?
oh,
Yeah.
by the Clash Royale guys.
Yeah,
I
yeah. That's why you made me think of it because you mentioned Crash Royale. Sonic Squad Busters has a crossover where a bunch of Sonic characters are going to be in it.
I see. I see. That also has a bunch of different crossovers in that game. Um, but yeah, I'm um something I wanted to talk about with these three games is these are, I guess, what I would call like Sonic Racing is kind of like it's a spin-off, right? And then these like Rumble and Blitz are like even farther spin-offs because they're like mobile spin-offs. Um, it makes me think that next year for his 35th
Yeah, 35th.
birthday, because we as humans love fives and zeros, uh, it'll be a bigger game released next year for Sonic's 35th birthday. Um, I heard rumors Sonic Frontiers 2 was happening.
Yeah, and it should one day. Or I don't like you don't need to necessarily make it Frontiers 2. You could make it Sonic Revolution.
Yeah,
You could make it whatever.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
but
okay.
yeah,
What I wanted to know, Chris,
yeah.
is why are we getting all of these Sonic mobile games and not a Sonic Chow Garden Simulator
No, it's
where
true.
I can gosh darn take care of my Chow, feed him every day, go like a Tamagotchi, play the gosh darn game, go like, oh, my friend's playing, I'm going to compete with them in a little race. Where is this game, Sega? I would spend so much microtransaction. I don't spend microtransaction money on anything, but I would for a Chow.
You know, we've been saying it for years, and now that we have this platform, we can really get our voice out there. That
It doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't make sense that they have not come up with a way to monetize the Chow Garden in like a
It
standalone game.
boggles my brain. It really
I
boggles my brain.
All I can think of is like in Sonic Adventure 2, the way you get materials for the Chow are in the Sonic main game levels, right?
Mhm.
Um, and Sega just hasn't figured out how to not do that. They're just like, well, we have to have a full Sonic game, but also we're not going to put it in a full Sonic game. So, oh, what are we going to do? But like, I, I think you can do just about you. There's people who have come up with ideas for this in the past on like how this can work, and if Sega's not going to do it, uh, I don't think anyone else is like able to take it over, which is so sad because like we need the Chow Garden, Sega,
Yeah,
please, please, Sega.
Sega.
Please, Chow
I'm gonna go
Garden.
back to. I wish I still had social media so I could go back to adding a Sega of America like once a month. Just being like, hey, I just want to let you guys know I would
Hey,
spend a lot of money on a Chow Garden simulator.
hey, this would be a great way to get some money if you ever need it. Maybe that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for like bankruptcy to hit, and so they can be like, all right,
Mm.
unleash the Chow Garden mobile app.
It was like Square Enix with the Final Fantasy VII remake. They're like, all right, we'll do it when we need to.
We got to do it. We're bleeding. Release it. Yeah. So that's that's what's that's what we need, Sega, for Sonic's 35th birthday. We need Chow Garden.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. That's Sonic's birthday,
Mhm.
34th. I celebrated by having all this Sega stuff in my house that I spent money on. I don't have,
Oh,
you know what? Actually, I don't have a Chow.
you know,
I don't think so.
on my guitar, I have a Chow sticker that says, "I'm about to lose my neutral alignment."
Did you also eat
Uh,
chili dogs? I did not. Did you? Have you ever had a chili dog?
Me?
Yeah,
Before I stopped eating meat, no, I never did.
I can say that I love hot dogs,
Mhm.
and I don't think I've ever had a chili dog where I was like, man, I could go for another one of those. I think they've always been something that's not for me. I think he's chili cheese dogs specifically is Sonic's
Mhm.
thing,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah,
which is
even more stuff on top.
which is gross. But I do think they need to market that more in like the Sonic movies and games, so we can get all these kids really wanting to get chili dogs and just
Instead of like Olive Garden.
yeah, instead of Olive Garden. Or Olive Garden should start selling chili cheese dogs.
Oh,
That's
um,
the answer right there.
one thing I wanted to ask you about Cross Worlds. Actually, one thing I realized, and the second thing I wanted to ask you is that when I was like kind of like surprised about like the Nickelodeon stuff,
Hmm.
like when it was first leaked, and then I realized that like, oh yeah, Sega has a huge like partnership with Paramount because Paramount produces the movies and whatnot,
Yep.
and Paramount also owns Nickelodeon, and that's how you get that. We did no research. I did not prompt you on this question. Is there another Paramount franchise you think that would or could cross over with Sonic World Cross Worlds?
Another Paramount.
Like, do you think what else through that relationship? Is there anything else other than like Star Trek, which would be silly
That
and
would
shouldn't happen?
that
But
should not happen. That's not going to sell anything. Um, the hmm, the crossovers
you could
with
just do all the Nickelodeon stuff. But
yeah, the crossovers with Nickelodeon, I think makes sense for the demographic.
Mhm.
Um, I think Paramount owns like doesn't Paramount own like the Universal monsters? Can we get
Ooh, maybe
can we get Frankenstein and
Paramount
Dracula?
franchise. Oh, do some research live on air.
Yeah,
Um,
because if we can get if I if I can get a kart racing game with Sonic, the Ninja Turtles, and then also Frankenstein, who is like my wife's favorite, that'd be hilarious.
Paramount does own the Adams Family, and there have been animated Adams Families.
Okay. Okay.
Really quickly running through this GI Joe. That seems like not something you market very well anymore.
No, no.
Put a Transformer in this game.
I I I am imagining them putting in Optimus Prime, but he's driving a car and not just transforms into a car. Um, like real quick, Paramount owned properties. Um, and CBS, MTV, so we can get
Beavis.
you got Beavis and Butthead. Um, yeah, maybe they. put in like, I don't know,
You get the Smurfs in there.
Josh Allen.
There you go.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm happy with what I've gotten. They've
mhm,
the crossovers that they've mentioned. There's the paid crossovers, which are like the non-Sega IPs, and then the Sega IPs are like free editions. Um, I think I'm more interested seeing what other like Sega stuff they
mhm.
put in there. Um, I I think mostly it's because like the Nickelodeon stuff has me so one tracked down Nickelodeon, and I don't want that to be like the Nickelodeon season pass. I would like there to be more. I think in the graphic they show SpongeBob, Ninja Turtles, Avatar, and then two blank spaces.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm trying to remember because there was that leak again, a Sega leak with Crossworlds where they showed SpongeBob, mentioned Avatar, mentioned Miku and the Ninja Turtles. I'm trying to remember what else if there was anything else they mentioned in that could fill out those other two spots, and I don't think there was. So I'm hoping that it's something outside of Nickelodeon at this point.
I got it.
Okay.
I just did a bunch of research real quick because I had something that popped into my head earlier today, after I rewatched the Crossworld trailer for this conversation, is that Sega and Bandai Namco have a friendship, but instead of Pac-Man, we get Pac-Man out of the way. We don't. Pac-Man can be in the game. I love Pac-Man. We put Doraemon in this game because Bandai Namco has made the Doraemon video games,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Doraemon, this cute little blue guy, would go perfect
You're not
in Sega
wrong.
Crossworlds. And at that point, when then we add Moomin somehow. We find a way to add Moomins to this game.
I'm not putting it past them to do weird stuff like this because they had some like silly characters in previous Sega racing games. Um, I can't like the flying car from the old like the fantasy. I can't remember the old Sega game. I'm gonna go crazy
No.
now. Sega Fantasy Zone. The Fantasy
Okay.
Zone flying ship car thing was once a racing car in or a character in a Sonic racing game. So like they do weird stuff. Granted, Fantasy Zone is Sega, but it was cute as heck and it was very cool. So I could see them doing these other cutesy little things because who cares? I think that's kind of their thing at this point. It's like who cares? Just throw it in.
And most importantly, you have to have the tie-in for the Space Channel 5 movie coming out. So we get the main character from Space Channel 5 in the
Yep,
game.
that's right. We talked about that once. That might have been our test show, actually.
It was our test show, yeah.
Yeah, it's Space Channel 5 movie. Ooh la la.
Yeah, Tuala. Yep.
Um, yeah.
Billy Hatcher.
Also, there was a brief conversation in chat about Beavis and Butthead. I was not allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead as a child. My half brothers watched it and also had a Sega Genesis game, and I would sneak into their room when they were not there to try to play the game, and my mom would catch me and yell at me. So I was not allowed Beavis and Butthead. I was not allowed Ren and Stimpy. Um, I was allowed Rocco's Modern Life, but I was like a little bit older at that point, and I was allowed to, but my mom was still not happy about it. She still didn't like. She still didn't like it. So yeah, I watched, or I tried to watch Beavis and Butthead. Um, but yeah, because my brothers were much older than I was, so Also, yeah, they weren't like my mom's kids, they were my dad's kids. So like when my dad was at work and they were like off somewhere, it was just my mom just being like, please don't go in there, just stop, please stop going in their bedroom, I don't know what's in there, that show's weird, don't watch MTV. And then she was like, whatever, after a few years. um Anyways, moving on from Sega's birthday, or Sega's Sonic's birthday, um we have a new game coming out. It's called
New game.
the Blood of Dawnwalker, which is um a new game. That's a cat. A new game by a new studio, Red Wolves, I think it.
Yeah, former Witcher 4 or 3 dev.
Former Witcher 3 veteran developers got together after The Witcher 3, made a new company. They're making this game called The Blood of Dawnwalker, which is being published by Bandai
And
Namco.
yeah.
Um, there's a new, I think it's new, like 21-minute gameplay trailer. Um, I'll just throw that on, make it big while we talk about this game a little bit. It's exciting when a new studio starts up with, veterans of another big IP, right? Um,
Mhm.
I think you can see some of the DNA of that in this game. Granted, this is, I think it said it. This is like pre beta in game footage. Like this game has a long ways to go. But you definitely see some of that Witcher DNA in this. And I've never known anyone to love Witcher more than you.
Yeah. So honestly, well, first off, just like I want to kind of parrot a little bit what you said, that I think like it's really important and really always cool when kind of developers split off from like, big parent company, like whatever corporation they were working for, even though CD Projekt Red more independent than most. Um and they're like, hey, let's do our own thing that we're passionate about. Let's like we are like that passion doesn't always make a good game, but it's always really like exciting to see something like that. Um, and I am so stoked to play this video game. It seems to be like super narrative heavy, which I really appreciate. It seems to be very kind of um like the difference in narrative they talk a lot about later in the trailer, that like you can just choose when to um do certain quests, and based on like very much in like how Breath of the Wild, like you in theory can just go up to Ganon at any point. You might not be strong enough to beat him, but you can go up to him, and that will change the rest of the narrative if you do something earlier or later. And that's super interesting to me. That's super, like, I love getting kind of like lost in these games, getting like, just being like, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then I'm very stubborn with video games. And if I see something that I'm like, this is too hard for me, I will hit my head against it for like an hour and be like, no, I must, I must. This is the path I chose. It doesn't make sense for me to leave. Um,
One of the
and
things
then they showing. Oh yeah, you go.
one of the things I love in games is when they have those like, I guess I'd call it like branching paths, and you're able to talk
Mhm.
to your friends and be like, "Oh, I did this and this happened." And then your friend is able to be like, "Oh, I can't do that because I did this." I think that's interesting.
Yeah, like I think that was like honestly like that those water cooler moments, as like the people say.
Hmm.
But for me, like those high school moments of being like, oh man, in Mass Effect I did this and this and this and this happened, and being like, what are you talking about? And um from what it looks like, this game doesn't seem to be super like long as it is wide. Like it just seems to have like a lot of different things you can do, and that can take you down different pathways
Hmm.
than it being like a long singular like structured narrative, which seems really neat. The combat seems, as you and I talked about before, For Honor like, where
Yeah,
you get to choose the direction of combat.
yeah. I'll rewind this a little bit in case people didn't see it, but during the combat, you can see, uh, for instance, I mean, you can't see my mouse, but on that character, there's a shield with a down icon. Um, Combat has four directions: up, down, left, right for attacking, and um, defensive, maneuvers. Just like in For Honor, For Honor has those different directions. If you're attacking in a direction, that's the direction that needs to be blocked. This enemy is attacking from below. It's telling you you have to block from below. Um, on this screen here, I believe this is saying you can attack this character in those directions. Up, this is telling me this character is blocking to the right. Don't attack to the right. So with faster gameplay, uh, and characters like changing stances, I guess that's where like the difficulty and uniqueness in the combat comes in. Um, but I mean, I love For Honor, and this isn't For Honor. This is not a For Honor like, and the combat is maybe a little For Honor like, where it has that directional. Um, but For Honor's combat is it's PvP, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
little slower. It's a little more like there's feinting, and you're trying to fake out your opponent. It's like a fighting game kind of. There's like strings that you can put together, whatnot, where this is taking that same uh combat style and just like action RPGing it. And I think that's cool. It's something that, I haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting for like an action RPG. Waiting for the bonfires to show up though. Where's my bonfires?
uh, Another thing about like the combat that I think is really neat is like having a skill based combat system like this, where like in theory you can just like get really good at parry, I mean, and blocking and attacking and
Wait,
whatnot.
did you
It
say there's a
does add a
parry?
little. I don't know if there's a parry. I said it
Souls
by
like.
accident.
Souls like.
But um, it does create that like, yeah, you can do something that's like above your level, right? Because it is still an RPG. It is very much like you have stats, you have equipment, you have different perks that you level up, skills and stuff like that. But like if you just get really good at parrying and blocking and or what have you, like you can punch up above your weight, which is something I really love.
Player Obscure did
There's
that.
nothing. Yeah, 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 and my game of the year for now. Um, and like it's just so much better to like know that you have the ability to solve a problem than it is like say a billion games that I love from back in the day just getting railroaded and be like, you just can't beat this guy. You're just not high enough level. You just have to go somewhere else to come back to this dude later. Um, and so it's something I just really appreciate in like modern game development in general. Um, and like other than that, like everything else about this game is just like it feels like Eastern European, like The Witcher. It feels
Hmm.
like there's vampires in it, which is cool.
I think your
I
character
won't
is.
hide from the fact.
I think your character is part vampire.
Yeah, you're a Dawnwalker, a Dompier.
A Dawn Pier. Yeah, I mean, I think in my mind,
Mm,
the 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 biggest thing going for this game is the pedigree of people making it. Um, but if they were just making The Witcher like spiritual successor,
mm,
with like the same combat and everything like that, it would be much less interesting to me. Changing up the combat is like the next biggest thing in this, where I'm like, oh, everything about this game looks very modern action RPG,
Hmm.
which can either be a detriment or, if done well, like there's a reason why it's the modern way to do it. Um, but I think that change to the combat where you're not necessarily just like button mashing and hitting the buttons at the right time. You're like aiming your attacks and your defenses. I think that slight change of pace almost um could be what makes people like continue through this game is just like because the combat is fun and different and
Hmm.
new. Um but it does look, yeah, it looks very Witcher like. There are things that they talk about this where there are differences between a day and night.
Yeah, like at night is when your vampire powers kick in. It's like when you really like you have a lot more maneuverability. It seems to be more a little stealth focus at times.
I think you
Um,
also I thought it was health. I could be wrong, but
yep,
there
it's health, yeah.
health replenishes at night,
Mhm,
whereas during the day you need to find like
mhm,
potions and whatnot. Um,
mhm. And the other thing is at night is that you start off weaker because you're hungry, and your health meter is tied to your hunger level.
I
And so
see.
like you need like that's when the game is like you need to drink blood in order to get your health back up. And that's kind of neat. It's a little gameplay, and then they talk about like how like obviously people will freak out. So like there's where like, more stealth stuff comes in. It's like pick your targets wisely, and it goes like you can choose to drink a little bit of blood to keep them alive or kill them and whatnot. That's neat.
I think
Um,
it's a neat twist on,
mhm,
or a neat extra wrinkle to their like branching story paths. You know play how you want to play kind of thing, where it's like you can do these missions out of order, you can punch above your weight like you said. um you can strategize that, like, do you want to do that during the day, do you want to do that during the
mhm,
night? You can allocate your points for better night uh you know attributes, or daytime
mhm,
attributes. So
mhm,
like I think that's cool where it's like, you can create a character who's like very vampiric night heavy. So at night is when you do like your combat or your stealth or whatever, and then during the daytime you do like your adventuring to like get to places, whatever. I think that's a neat little wrinkle to the like the gameplay flow and like the replayability of it. Um, it yeah, this game's early on, but I think
mhm.
it sounds like the team putting it together is like it feels like something almost that like they wanted to do before,
Mhm.
because there is so
Yeah, like they had
much
that vision.
there's so much like tweaks on formulas that are common in this, where it's like, yeah, it feels like either during The Witcher 3 or after The Witcher 3 they were like these ideas were there, and now that they're like stepped away from the company and can do what they want, they've put those ideas together, and that's great. That's great. I think it'll be a cool game. No date at all, I don't think, right?
At the end, they might have said a year, but I don't know. And then who that doesn't necessarily even mean anything. Um, One of the things that I was just gonna joke about is that this trailer does it, and like every conference trailer does this. Always, it's so funny to watch like the slow walking through the city and the camera like panning and being like, look at all how everyone's interacting around this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I have never once in my life not sprinted through a city to get to place A to point B. I'm always like, gotta go. We gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
And
There's almost like an opposite effect in racing games, where like in games like this and a lot of conference games they do that slow walk, slow camera pan, and they're like, oh, look how beautiful and pretty everything is. And then
please look at what our artist did.
nobody does.
Mhm.
Nobody does. And then in racing games it's like they're moving fast. You see like the motion blur, and you see everything going on. And you're like, wow, this looks amazing. This is beautiful. Um, don't stop and actually look at any of it though. But that's what people want to do in racing games. They're like, wait, let me stop and let me find what's actually really pretty or not about this game. And I just think that's funny, where it's just like, yeah, games like Assassin's Creed and whatnot, people are just gonna like run through, blast through the missions, and then these like car racing games where like you're supposed to blast through these cities, people are like stopping and being like, oh well, actually, let's look at this. It's just funny. It's just funny.
It is. I agree. I agree.
Um, any other words you have
Um,
on this game? Blood of Dawnwalker.
I think it should be Blood of the Dawnwalker, maybe,
The name's
but that's clunky.
the name trips me up a little bit. It is the Blood of Dawnwalker.
But like that's just a thing now that we're doing, right? Because like Dragon Age the Veilguard it's a worse name than Dragon Age. No, it's just Dragon Age
It's
Veilguard,
Veilguard.
not
Yeah.
the Veilguard.
Um.
We don't know where to put those anymore, I
No.
think.
Yeah. We put the in the wrong spot. It's the Blood of Dawnwalker,
Mm-hmm.
not the Blood of the Dawnwalker or Blood of the Dawnwalker. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of a weird name, kind of a
Yeah.
clunky name. I kept looking up. Um.
It's a cool moon, by the way, in that picture.
Yeah, it
The
was
to
cool.
the
When I was searching this game last night, I kept searching for the Dawn of Bloodwalker or the Dawn of the Bloodwalker. So
Mhm.
that, because I don't know, that just made sense to me. The Dawn of Bloodwalker more than the Blood of Dawnwalker. It's a weird name.
I agree.
What's the oh, I can't even remember. What's the Switch Souls game coming out called?
Duskbloods.
Dusk
I don't know if
Bloods.
this is.
Another
Mhm.
weird name. Dawnwalkers, Dusk Bloods. Um, people in naming games has gotten weird.
Titan Souls. It's just like it's noun souls,
Yeah,
adjective souls,
yeah,
everything.
yeah. At least this game isn't a Souls like, right?
No, so far.
No, not. Yeah,
I don't
it's
see any currency like tied into that. Currency, like actually, when you see some them kill people earlier in the trailer, they're picking up like gold and
yeah.
whatnot. So
It's
I
also
imagine it's more standard.
it's very dark.
Yeah, it's dark.
It's very very dark. Um, yeah. Oh well, I think this game's gonna be cool. When it comes out, I think it'll be a nice big hit. Um, yeah, that's about it for the Blood of Dawnwalker.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
pre-beta. Let me just scroll through real quick. It's just more, more night stuff, some more
You see the big
combat.
battle. You see them like as a vampire, you use your claws to fight. But then they also
No,
say
just
somewhere that they're like, but you can still use a sword if you want.
right. Yeah, you can see in this video right now you're fighting what appears to be a boss battle with that like For Honor-esque, that very fast For Honor-esque like combat system with your claws out. Uh oh, actually, I forgot to mention this. It's still on like the little quest thing on the right side here. Uh I love games that put timers on you.
Oh yeah,
So I love that it's like rescue your family, 22 days left. I think that's cool because
I agree.
like what happens to the story and the gameplay if you don't rescue your family in time? What
Mhm.
changes? What changes if you do rescue your family? It's cool. The first Pikmin is a good game because of the timer.
Agree. And it also just like creates like a like I completely understand people that are like, well, it's too much pressure, it's anxiety. Like you hear a lot of that discourse with people like, I can't maximize my calendar in Persona. I
It's
get
not
it. But at the same time, like you're not necessarily intended to.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not always the
Um,
point. The
the point is to make you feel like the urgency of your character's like mission, right?
Yeah.
Of the narrative.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That game that game's cool. Coming out in a long time.
Oh, did you go to actually? You have it open still. If you don't,
I
that's
do.
fine. But if you do, just scroll to the very end and see if it has a tag for a year or not.
Um I'll bring it back up on the window capture. We watched him die. Big bloody
Mhm.
death. Um Coming 2026.
Okay, next year.
So next year. Maybe, probably, hopefully for
Yeah.
them. Wish list today. The Blood of Dawnwalker. Yeah,
Um, Speaking of time mechanics in video games, like I'm like 100% with you, just because like my favorite Zelda is Majora's Mask.
I like it. Like Pikmin, and also Dead Rising, the first Dead
Hmm.
Rising. That game worked as well as it did because of the time limit, and it's what made it so you could go back and play it over and over and over again and get good at certain parts and like make different decisions, rescue different people, fight different bosses. Like it was cool, very cool. Um, this game talked about a little bit, had a lot of freedom of choice for
Hmm.
how you want to play the game. Um, and something that I kind of wanted to talk about was player expression and creativity in games. And the way I'm thinking of it is a little bit different than branching paths and skill trees that you can customize, you know, your character to be stealthy or a tank or whatever. Um there's been like a bigger rise in games that like just give you stuff, give you a light objective and are just kind of like do what you want with this stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know, have fun. Um the first game that I'll talk about because there's been three games that have dominated my timeline, my my Twitch feed, Twitter feed, TikTok. There's three games: Mario Kart World, Rematch, and Peak. Um,
Hmm.
and they all have some sort of like this expression and creativity in different ways. Mario Kart World has a lot of creativity in its way that you traverse through the tracks. Um, Between the grinding, the wall riding, a lot of different paths you can take. If you get knocked off one way, there's a different way that you can go.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's cool that it has all that expression and creativity that you can do with the trick system and whatnot. It's not always the best thing to do, and the thing you're trying to do is get first and have the best lines. So, that expression and creativity to create these other lines is cool. Not always what you want to do. But it's fun. It's fun to see. It's fun to pull off. Even if it's not like what you should be doing to win. um, but it's fun. And I think that is part of what makes Mario Kart World fun for me. Um, is just trying to do stuff and uh seeing how it goes. Um, Rematch. Rematch is is a soccer game that's coming out. I think I've
There's a lot of I've watched a lot of people play Rematch. The game looks fun.
it.
It's not like necessarily my type of game, but like seeing people do like setups where they like kick the ball off of the back wall so that it will land over here so someone can like shank it in over here is really satisfying to
Yeah,
see these like these cool plays,
and
I
this
guess you
is
say.
this is like the start of like kind of what I mean, where like the game gives you like a light goal. Literally in soccer, it's you're trying to get goals. Um, but then it just gives you tools and resources, and it's just kind of like do what you want with it. Like this can happen. Um, Figure out how to use it best. And yeah, there's like this game has a lot of let's go on to the next game. This game has a lot of or rematch at least has a lot of control, ball control, things that you can do with like flipping it over your head,
So cool.
bouncing it off walls and stuff like that. The way you kick the ball isn't necessarily just um here's the pass button, here's the shoot button, you know? You don't just hit the shoot button and it takes a shot on net, you know? It's just like different ways to kick the ball, not pass or shoot. And that can lead to different, you know, trick shots or different, you know, bounces or whatnot. So there's just a lot of cool ways that I've seen people in rematch like use the same tools in different ways.
Mhm.
Um and then this game, Peak. Um this is a game that to me falls in that same category of like a Lethal Company
Mhm.
or Repo,
Okay.
where you are a squad of 4 people working together. Um, you have a goal. It's a very like straightforward goal. Repo and Lethal Company, it's like gather enough resources to get money. This game, it's climb to the top of the mountain. Um, all 3 games have some sort of uh randomly generated elements to it. Lethal Company and Repo have like their different maps are like randomly generated. In this game, the mountain that you have to climb is randomly
Mhm.
generated every day. Um, but they all just give you stuff to be goofy with.
Yeah, this game's so charming. I just want to
It
get that out of the way. And
it's
then two, shout out to Aggro Crab. You know, they made another Crab's Treasure
and
and stuff like that.
Landfall.
They're a good company. And
This
Landfall.
is weird.
Yeah.
It's 2 different game companies that came together to
Mhm.
make what they considered a side project, and I think it's the biggest selling game that either company has done.
It's
Um,
really cool.
it's really cool, but like
Oh, like going under. You know.
these games are very much like or Peak Repo Lethal Company are very much like have fun with your friends
Mhm.
and just we don't have a clear way we want you to do anything in this game. We don't like play this however you want. Be stupid, um be speed run it, whatever. It's like it's very open and like just have a good time with our game. Um, all 3 of these games also coincidentally have like proximity chat, which is
It's fun. It's fun.
is fun. Um, but there's just like there's no wrong way to play these games. Um, like there's no wrong way to try to get to the top of the mountain. Like you crash land on this island and you're given a backpack and some different resources and you have to choose like what you want to bring up, what you don't want to bring up, what's useful, what's not, what's the story that you and your group want to tell yourselves is going on the way up. um and these games are popping off.
What I
um
was gonna say is the right way to play this game is the most chaotic way that you and your friends can, in my opinion.
Maybe, yeah, and that's right in
Just
your opinion.
like what's like the silliest wacky thing. Like we talk about Lethal Company quite a bit. It's the one I have the most experience playing with it. Every session of Lethal Company devolves into like everyone being like, "All right, we're going to the random teleporter, and they'll see if one of us makes it back," and just like not like being alone and terrified. Um, until you can hear someone's voice like through a wall or whatnot, like is and then getting killed, and it's really really fun. And what I think like a lot of these games come down to, and even the more competitive ones that the first two, Rematch and Mario Kart, is that like here are the tools. We've made these tools fun. That's the most important part,
Hmm.
is that the skill floor is fun. And then it's like then you can do whatever. Then it's like in the same way that like not necessarily the same, but like Game Beast is fun and silly because like the mechanic of just grabbing and physics nonsense is just like a fun, easy entry tool. And then it's like, oh, but then I can do this, this, and this, and this, and I'm like, oh, this is exciting. I'm so cool. I'm so cool that I can just run around and I have like the plan of what items I want, or like whereas something like Mario Kart and Rematch are like, now you have all these tools, you can go crazy, you can experience the track in ways that other people might not.
It
Um,
yeah, that's a great way to put it. Where like I was trying to struggle with like how to describe um like the way this game gives you it's tools, and it's yeah, it's they give you entry level tools. Anyone can use these. They're very basic, they're very simple, straightforward. Um and you don't they don't level up or anything like that.
mhm.
It's just how creative can you be with these tools. Um and yeah, it's a little different, I guess, in like in Rematch and Mario Kart World. It's creativity and skill, right? Like
Mhm.
there's a skill because it's a challenge. It's not cooperative like these
Yeah.
other games we're talking about. But yeah, it just gives you like Peak, Repo, Lethal Company. They give you these very basic set of tools and skills and rules, and it's just like they're not. I don't describe these anyway as sandbox games, but
Mhm.
they are very sandboxy, where it's just like, here's the tools, do what you want. Whereas like traditional sandbox games are like, it's more of just like a buzzword to be like, it's open world and it's destructive
Yeah,
and like,
it's a little playground.
yeah. Um, it's a sandbox like. Yes, correct. This is a sandbox like. But yeah, these games have been popping off in ways that I think are really cool. Um, because it's so like goofy and like community driven,
Yeah.
right? Like these games might not do as well now or 15 years ago as they do now because of like streaming and mostly that streaming's very big for these types of games. And they're really small, so it's like harder to find games like this a long time
Mhm.
ago.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, just that whole like community factor leads into its like community gameplay where like the time that you have in these games are truly representative about like the people that you're playing with. Um,
Yeah, 100%. Like it's just again, like as you said, I think community is a big part of it, and it's like almost like kind of like this sounds derogatory, and in a certain sense it is. The like they're clippable, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're meant for the moments of comedy. Um, where it's like you're gonna get as much fun of it with it like depending on like the people you're playing with. So like a lot of these games, I think like Domo says in the chat, like they're fun with friends, and like I'm sure there's a very like a strong amount of people who can play these games with randos, and I'm not one of
I
them.
don't want to. I'm not
But
that
like
strong.
messing around, yeah, I'm not either. Like, but messing around with your friends in a game like Peak and having those inevitable moments where like somebody like messes up and it's just like comedy ensues like over the proximity chat as you hear your friend's voice get farther and farther and farther away as they fall to their death or like the ground or whatever. um they it the community part and the nature of streaming, as you said, and like the clippableness, the comedy, it all kind of is this perfect storm for like this post lockdown, like even lockdown into post lockdown type of mindset. I think for gaming.
Yeah, it's it, I guess when I was saying like 15 years ago, I didn't know
Mhm,
if these would be so popular. It might just be 5, 6 years ago. It might really just be like pre-pandemic, post-pandemic kind of like
mhm.
shift in games. But what you said about like the clippable part, like uh yeah, maybe derogatory for some people, but uh it is like a big part of people's enjoyment even when they're not streamers or whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, like my wife today, later today, she will be playing Fortnite with her friends. And a large part of their enjoyment is like goofing around in Fortnite and clipping the like silly stupid stuff that they do or the silly stuff that happens, the funny things that happen. They're not streamers. They're not like
Mhm.
social media influencers or anything like that, but it's just fun to have those clipped moments of like you and your friends goofing around and sharing it with your friends and being like, this was my point of view. Like, this was so stupid. Like, why did you do that? Why did you throw the car off the mountain? Like, why did you scream like that? And like some of it is like scripted, not necessarily with them. I'm just saying in general, like sometimes
Yeah,
these
yeah,
like
yeah.
these moments you make with your friends are scripted. They're not necessarily always or completely organic. You might be able to be like, wait, I think this happens if you do this. Okay, come over here for a second, and then like you come running over, waddling over, and then I blow you up, or you trigger something that
There's
that you didn't know was there, and
mhm.
I'm like, yep, it happened.
Our classic Sea of Thieves stream from 3 years ago, the end of it,
What
where
happened?
like one of us it was like one of like it was we were like, oh man, this is a beautiful night to send us off on. We're getting ready to end the day, and then like all of a sudden like the big cacophony of explosions of fire, like barrels and whatnot that our friend Spencer like set off, and we all died horrifically.
Yeah, yeah. So like those moments like are just like more common to happen in these games, and
Mhm.
like I mean, Sea of Thieves is another like example of like expression and creativity of like how like they give you tools. There's no Sea of Thieves has no goal. There's no end
Mhm.
game. Peak has get to the top of the mountain. Repo and Lethal Company are like gather enough resources, get enough money to like advance. Sea of Thieves, it's just like here's the world. You can do stuff and you'll get
Mhm.
gold to get more cosmetics, or you'll get levels for more cosmetics. But here's just a bunch of that's a sandbox game. Sea of Thieves is what
Mhm.
I think of as like a real sandbox game where it's like this big giant open. It's just I guess maybe I just think a sandbox game is something bigger than
Yeah.
a
Okay.
repo or
Mhm.
or peak. Um, that game
Because
truly,
like in those games, like they still have levels. Like it's still like you go and log into level, even if it's like randomized,
yeah,
usually generated. It's still a level
yeah.
that you're going into.
Sea of Thieves is it's a world map. The map is always the same. The stuff that happens on the map is different. The way that any given other player crew on the map is playing is different, but there's no like actual goal. It gives you things that you
Mhm.
can do. You don't have to. You can go do whatever else you want. You don't have to do anything. Um, I think that's what I think of as like a real sandbox game. But that game's the same way, where it has like those like sandboxy goof off with your friends, take the
Yeah.
tools that we give you, use them how you want, and make those clips. Uh,
Um, Something that like is to be said, like it, like you can probably put a lot of these in like a micro, create our own little micro genre of hangout games, right? Like
yes,
these are games that are just meant to be you're meant to just hang out. You don't necessarily have a grand goal. There might be something kind of like out there like to just keep you engaged, but at the same time it's like it's just meant to be a hangout game. Rather depressingly, I think that is very much a like them and their popularity is like in part because of like this like isolation that everyone like the kind of pandemic woke us all up to.
hmm
Whether it's pure isolation and just like normal life, or it's like that more existential one where it's like, where do we even hang out anymore in real life? We have our little video games we hang out in now. It's our little like fun little place where we can feel connected to people. Proximity chat, you mentioned it before, I think is a great tool for that because it just makes it feel more organic. It makes it feel like you're hanging out in an actual space. Whereas like just like it feels slightly different than a Discord call,
yeah.
and I think that is good for our brains a little bit.
There's an extra thing happening for all our ADHD brains to like grasp onto rather than just having a conversation with each other. Um, I almost touched on it earlier as like these being hangout games and almost compared it to like web fishing, where web fishing
Yeah,
is really
I was
just
thinking
like
about web fishing this whole time.
web fishing is really just like a pure just like hangout game. Um,
Mhm.
that's like web fishing is like an advanced Discord call. Like
Yeah,
there is like
like you really are just doing like the bare minimum of gameplay while you're chilling with your friends.
yeah, and that's cool. That's fun. Um, it is less about those like clippable moments, unless those clippable moments are strictly just like the dumb shit your friend is saying, um, and not like gameplay related. Because yeah, the gameplay is like so much less. It's more slow paced than these other games. Whereas yeah, your conversations are flowing in peak, or they can be flowing based on what's happening in peak or lethal company,
Mhm.
repo, content warning. Um, but they're all like hangout games, and I want to hang out.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want to hang out in peak. It's only like $8. It was $5 up until like yesterday. But now it's
I've
eight.
been having those moments recently where I've been like, I should have bought you in pre-release. Like I knew I was gonna play you, and I should have just gotten the $2 discount or whatever.
I watched like some peak here and there. I didn't like sit and watch any real stream of it. I saw like bits and pieces here and there. It was constantly just like, yeah, I know what this is. This seems cool. And then like each day passed and I was just like, yeah, man, this seems pretty fun. This seems pretty cool. And then finally I was like, you know what? It's $5. I'll get it.
Mhm.
I get paid this week. I'll get the $5 game. Maybe I'll buy it for another person because it's only $5 and we can play together. And then I went on Steam and I was like, oh, well, now it's $8 and I missed out. Like, why? I, I,
And now I can't buy it for another
I
person.
know now it's too expensive. But, yeah, I don't know why I didn't just get it days earlier when I was just like, yeah, this is fun. This is cool. I would play this. But yeah, yeah, that's about all I had for that sort of like expression and creativity in games that is kind of like popping off with these indie titles recently. Um, and we move on to like another what I think is like kind of weird genre of games that are like also having like their own renaissance in the space, which is simulators.
Yeah, like we went from like Mr. Mosquito to a long drought to here.
Do you think Mr. Mosquito is like a mosquito simulator?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just really was like, I had a bit, and I was like, I need to execute quickly. No, I mean like, obviously, a lot of the simulators of old are either like, I don't know, like base fishing is a fishing simulator. Um,
Sure.
and like you have all the sims and whatnot, and those are simulators in a different way than what exactly we're talking about, which seem to be way more hyper focused simulators, like Mr. Mosquito.
You like that.
um
You enjoy this comment of the Mr. Mosquito likes.
yeah, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think as a side, I would like more Mr. Mosquito likes. I
Yeah,
I would
there's
like
plenty of like cat ones.
I would love a remake of Mr. Mosquito.
Mm.
Release Mr. Mosquito 2 in the USA.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
You yap. I'm gonna do
Um
I'm gonna figure out who owns Mr. Mosquito.
it's Sony published it. But yeah, so we've got these real simulators that are coming out, and they're all such they're like very hyper focused, weird, everyday normal jobs. I played this one, a demo of this one. This is Cinemaster Cinema Simulator, and it is every aspect of running a movie theater. Like you're like this is a quick video, so I'll pause through it. But like, there's the theater. You're going in theaters and cleaning up after guests. You're popping popcorn, serving guests, selling tickets. They tell you what seat they want, what movie they want. You're choosing it on the screen, printing the ticket out, handing it to them, taking their money. You're setting up the show times. You're like buying the contracts for the movies that you want to show at your theater. You're picking what time frames those movies are going to run at, what days, what times. Um and that sets up, what else you can do in a day. Cuz you can you can decorate, you got to go restock your theater. So like when you run out of candy, you got to order more candy and go pick up the candy and then bring the candy back. Um, and there are so many games like this.
Mhm.
Like in my mind, the big one was Farming Simulator,
Yeah.
which I've had a discussion before with people. There is/was a farming simulator esports league ran by the people who made it. There was an esports league for Farming Simulator, and they like created like an esports game, like competitive Farming Simulator 3v3 game mode, which is wild. Um, Now I can present this question to you, because we both worked in a movie theater before.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Why do you think people would enjoy the Cinemaster Cinema Simulator video game?
So I had a point forming, and I'm going to tie it into what my question is.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is wild to me. This is like the simulator genre in the way that like it's kind of taking over. Um, it kind of boggles my brain a little bit, considering that like I would say more than half of people alive don't like working jobs, especially the type of jobs that these games like really sell you on.
Yeah.
Um, but and this is where and actually to tie that into when you were playing this on stream, both you and I mean, both me and your wife were in the chat, and we were just like, "This is miserable," because like we both, we all three of us have worked at a movie theater,
Yeah,
and we're just like, why? Like, it was just aggravating to be in that space, like in your free time, a little bit, like in this like
yeah,
kind of pseudo ness of it. But maybe there is a part of the reality, part of the world that is out here, and they're in a um like they're working their desk jobs, and they're at like their 9 to 5 blue collar, and they kind of have this nostalgia longing for a job they had as a teenager, something like the Cinemaster Cinema Simulator I would argue the only possible solution I can think of for your question is that it's a nostalgia thing. Like, the remember when life wasn't so hectic and stressful, and I didn't have like, to do Excel sheets all day.
yeah.
I don't
Maybe
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
it was. I saw the cinema game um on a Steam Next Fest actually, and I was
Mhm.
like, I have to try this. I've worked a theater. This is gonna be funny. And like, I started playing it. I was streaming it. Tara was in the other room. What are you doing?
It's a
Uh,
warm beer.
yeah. Tara was in the other room. And I was like, I want you to watch this with me. This is funny. And she was like, okay, I'll try. That's interesting. Maybe I'll try it with you. And then like I got like 15 minutes into it and she was like, I just left work. I just did this. I don't need to schedule movies anymore. I don't need to clean these seats.
Hmm.
This is
Hmm.
I'm I'm triggered now. And she was like, I can't watch you play this anymore. Please stop. And like I played the demo for like a little bit. I went through like a couple rounds of show times. Um and that was enough for me. I was like, yep, I see what this game is. I see the loop. I don't see why anyone would want to play this for longer than I am, but I know they will because like
Yeah.
people aren't like me and have not worked those jobs before. And like I have this one up here too. This is the trading card game shop simulator.
This is the one I see the most of.
I saw this one a
Like,
lot,
just in my sphere of Twitch, I would see a lot of trading card simulator
and like
or Chopwood.
I would be like hypocritical, I guess, to be like the movie simulator game is stupid. Why would anyone want to play that? And then turn to this game and be like, well, I'd play this one.
Hmm.
Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's like you're seeing like the same exact formula in like both trailers. Um, but this is trading cards and has like a fake trading
Hmm.
card game thing to it. Um,
Yeah.
it's fine. The movie.
These things, yeah, like going off my point into your question, it's just like, especially with like one like this, like it's selling you this dream,
Ew.
and it's like that, like, oh, look at that, you could be a small business owner and work a card shop because you love card games, and this is like a way better life than what you have now. So like, of course you're gonna like look at this and go like, wow, I'm gonna imagine my life as a small business owner who
And
sells cards.
I'm gonna keep running through some of these simulators, but this one, a little goofier. Schedule one. It's a
Hmm.
like they call it. It is that like drug dealer simulator.
Hmm.
Um,
What Schedule One really interests me about it, and why I kind of really want to talk about it, is that I think it is like the Venn diagram of like that, of what we just talked about. Like, it is almost like the Lethal Company, or like a hangout game of simulators. It's meant to be multiplayer. It's meant to like you and your friends run around
it's
and sell drugs and whatnot.
it's
It's goofy.
it's goofy and clippable. It
Hmm.
is ugly, yes. I
Yes.
think that's part of the appeal for some people. Um, it's amazing that this game got as big as it did, but like that's, sometimes you just have an idea and people love it. And this one was selling drugs,
Mhm.
and people love selling drugs, I guess, or like the idea of selling drugs.
Well,
Uh,
Breaking Bad is big, so
Breaking Bad
of
is
course.
big. Supermarket Simulator on the screen right now, like it's crazy. And like um the trading card game shop simulator was popular. Schedule 1 really popular. This supermarket game I got on the Steam store, like hot new and upcoming games.
Mhm.
Um it's not, these games aren't just like, I don't, it's weird that these aren't just one-offs. Like there are new simulator games coming out that are already added to like top 10 new and upcoming Steam lists.
Mhm.
And it's just like they all look ugly. Like they all have like the same font. I swear to God, they all pull from the same like Unity marketplace assets. Um and like it's hard to figure out like why exactly there's just more and more of these coming out that are doing so popular, other than just like memes.
Yeah, I also think part of it is like this is now streaming culture derogatory, um, explicitly derogatory in this case,
Yeah.
where it is much of like a big streamer does this because it's like you can get laughs out of it, and your chat can like poke fun at you, and it's like a that kind of thing, and then you do that. And then people are like, "Oh, I'll try out the game and I'll play it." And there's a little bit of that domino effect that I think happens more for these games, considering they're typically cheap.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel that they do have a big streaming market,
Yeah.
whatnot.
And if I go to my window
They're
capture,
also cheap to make too, I bet. So
if I go here on Steam,
I don't know.
new and trending games, there's that supermarket simulator game,
Mm.
$15 right now. There's also this game, Ship Inc., which is much cuter looking, much more stylized, cartoony. It is a cozy job simulator, as it calls it itself. Um, if I go to where popular upcoming, we had supermarket simulator. Here's grocery store tycoon,
Mm.
ranch farm and store simulator. I hope that these aren't just popping up for me.
I have a couple of them when I look at mine. I I was so scared when you're like, I'm going to show my new and trending because like I can't do that with my Steam.
The
I have my things all unchecked off. Um, on this. But anyway, yeah, no, I
uh,
see shipping. I see if I scroll down, I'll see like the grocery store one. Um, yeah, and I think it's like they're easy assets to flip and whatnot.
it's
And they're people. Thank
it's just yeah. It's just a wild like new popular thing. Um, and like I'm just
Well, actually, yeah, you finished. I remembered another point that spawned in my head.
no, you go ahead.
I was just saying we talk. I mean, we're not talking trash necessarily. Necessarily, we're more or less pondering their existence.
Mm.
Which, but like at the same time, I can't sit here and pretend that I'm not like I didn't play Roller Coaster Tycoon for hours and hours and hours as a youth.
I don't
Like I,
I I get what you're saying. I did play a shit ton
mhm,
of Roller Coaster Tycoon. There's also the 2 Point games that are really good. 2 Point
mhm,
Hospital, 2 Point Museum.
mhm.
Um,
People like the Jurassic Evolution one,
hmm Those don't hit the same mark
Tycoon.
for me though as these types of like first person
Mhm,
simulators, because like those games, you're uh an over head overruling God of like everything that's happening. Whereas like
Yeah.
these simulators are more like you are a character in this world. Like you are here, you're first person, you're here. Uh you're controlling a person and not just like you're not controlling what's going on in the world. Like Roller Coaster Tycoon. Um or like there's the new game coming out at some point that I played the demo of, Mars Attracts. Um,
Mhm.
like those are games where like yeah, it's a little. I get what you're saying. Those are like simulators. Um, and maybe this is just a step. These simulators are just like one step past that.
Yeah, I think they share DNA. I think like that's like relatively true that they just have. They're both like games where you are doing management stuff.
There's number
Um,
management. Yeah,
mhm. And but I agree with you. Like the first person ones, especially, is like you're taking in like the idea that like, oh yeah, I'm now doing this. It feels more immersive in a negative way, in my opinion, because again, I can't really fathom um wanting to be doing this kind of playing this, spending my time on playing this type of video game, unless it was like all my like it was a co-op one and all my friends like were like really sold me on it and they're like as a hangout game, unless it was specifically a hangout game
like
that I was sold on.
like Schedule One, like you said. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't see myself ever buying one of these. I say now, and I will love to be proven wrong because video games are cool.
well, I mean, there is also things like Power Wash Simulator,
Hmm.
which are like a higher end version of what we just looked at. Um,
Soothing games from what I know.
and it's getting a sequel. It's getting another Power Wash Simulator. It had DLC
For Scooby-Doo.
crossovers: Scooby Doo, Alice in Wonderland, SpongeBob, I think Tomb Raider. Um,
Hmm.
so like there are some that like are clearly just like higher quality and pop off a little harder with a bigger demographic of people. But like as a whole, um, there's a lot of these that I would be willing to play a demo of, and that's
Hmm.
like I did with the cinema game, and that's about it. I yeah, like I don't want to pay money for a lot of what we saw, um, but again, thinking of something like a Power Wash Simulator, like I didn't pay money for it, but I was happy that it was on Game Pass. It's just yeah, like
Hmm.
I don't want to call it a cozy game necessarily, but it kind of hits that same vibe where it's just like you're just doing something simple and just watching progress happen.
Yeah, because it's selling you the dream that like maybe you can make progress in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The dream of progress in life. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's about it for me
Main topic.
for the main topics.
Yeah.
There were a couple smaller things that I wanted to run through real quick. Um,
Mhm.
like for example, let me see if I think I have a link for it. Arksys.
Yeah.
Arksys has a direct that they're coming out with. Um, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls dev Arc Systems Works has its own direct coming. Um, this is I think yeah Friday. So on
Mhm, mhm.
Friday we're gonna get.
Is it?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
actually, let me check the article. I was gonna say, is it Friday Japanese time or Friday our time? But I can also just look at the
Friday
information.
9 p.m. Eastern time.
Cool. So
Uh,
Saturday.
for them.
Mhm.
For us. For me, yeah, for me, West Coast. Friday 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Western time. Great time. Way better than Nintendo's direct times. Um, but yeah, they're going to show off. Let's see what it says here. Headline attractions will reveal a new unnamed project from the Guilty Gear
Yeah,
creator.
yeah, Daisuke.
Coming to show new information about other Arksys titles, including completely new titles that the company is working on. Guilty Gear is gearing up for the arrival of Lucy from Netflix's Cyberpunk Edgerunners game, so we'll probably see some
Gonna
Guilty
get me back in it.
Guilty Gear Strive stuff. New game from the Guilty Gear creator. Let's see what else we got. And there could it says let's see, it says here Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls recently being announced. There could also be a lot of goodies revealed at the showcase for fighting game fanatics revolving around these two titles. The exciting new game was first shown off at PlayStation in June. The game has a surprise, blah blah blah. It should be interesting to see how much time Arksys decides to spend on the game. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah,
So yeah, Friday.
yeah. It doesn't say anywhere in there like there's like a time limit on like how long we think it's gonna be.
Nope,
The direct.
nothing about
Cool.
that. Just that Arksys has a direct coming out. We're gonna see
Mhm.
the
Cool.
DLC characters for Strive. We're gonna see some new games, potentially some Marvel Tokon. So it's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I Strive is awesome. I love Guilty Gear Strive. I think Daisuke is a really fun creator, and I don't know how much like you are like you know about him, but he does all the music in Guilty Gear is like his band, which is
Okay,
really cool.
that's fun.
Um, and like I and that he like sings on occasionally is neat. It's a silly guy, um, and he's pretty darn based.
Pretty darn
Um,
based.
and I'm interested that he's working on a new game. I like so Guilty Gear Strive is Guilty Gear's been his baby for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and we're coming up at the end of the season pass. Lucy's going to be there, the first big crossover character, and I'm like, you're already working on something else. What's it going to be? I'm very curious. Um,
I would.
they're no stranger to being not fighting game stuff. Like there could be something not fighting game, which surprised me,
That's what I
or
would
it could
like
be
to
like
see.
Dragon Ball Fighters too. Who knows?
Who knows? I would like to see something not fighting game from them. I think that would
Mhm.
be cool. I think that they have built up so much momentum and goodwill and just like their name means a lot now in the fighting game community, that I think that they can make something that's not a fighting game to maybe help with any fighting game burnout, and have it be like something that's popular and talked about now. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's happening on Friday. Also, the big game out this week is Death Stranding 2.
I'm gonna watch somebody play that.
Yeah, I'll probably watch a little bit of it, look up some clips. I hope I mean
I
from what
I
I've heard,
like Death Stranding
from what I've
as a
heard,
concept.
yeah, and from what I've heard, this one is uh better than the first game. Um, it's like even the people who like I've heard that from everybody. People who liked
Mhm.
the first game, people who didn't care for the first game, everybody has been like this one's better, and it just seems like there's more game to it is what it sounds like. There's more gameplay than just like walking and balancing your parcels. Um, I just I'm not in that place to play that game. I think it's interesting
Mhm.
as heck. It's another entry into the Strand game genre, so I'm
The
all
Strand like.
I'm all for it. No, I mean, okay. I mean, is it is Dark Souls a Souls like?
Well, the etymology comes from demon souls,
All
and it's
right, and that's at the end. And um, yeah. So, anyways, uh, another Strand game that's coming out. I, what do you have any plans for the rest of the week for gaming related things?
I have no earthly idea from the top of my head. I know that I loosely have more Night Rain plans tonight.
Cool.
Been grinding the special boss, something that's not in the dock yet, but I think it's really neat. We talked about Night Rain before.
Yep.
And what they've been doing is like every week now they announce they are taking one of the bosses and then they are adding a super version of that boss, um, which is more than just like a power creep. So, like for example, the super version of the Gaping Jaw is a big a hound thing with a big mouth that splits open, whatever. Starts in his second phase and then has an additional phase that isn't in his original boss form. So there's a whole new mechanics, there's whole new like patterns you have to learn. They have like actual like kind of what I would consider MMO raid mechanics of like you have to do this in order to be able to get to like a better chance of beating like to hurting him or whatnot. I don't know.
That's
I'm
cool.
excited for that. But then other than that, I got really nothing else other than GDQ starts on Sunday, and I'm gonna watch that.
Heck yes. I'm glad that I was worried. I was thinking about it recently with Night Rain. I was worried that like uh they wouldn't have enough happening to keep
Mhm.
people interested. And I don't think they need like to be this giant success that Elden Ring was or to keep everyone into it at all times. They don't need to keep their player count insane. Um but I'm glad that they're doing something that is
Mhm.
keeping the people who have already played through it to come back and keep playing it because it seems like the people who play that game with friends think that that's a really good game. So I'm glad that they can
Yeah.
get those friends coming back together, getting the band back together. Um, and yeah, maybe I watch some GDQ. I'm sure I will. I'll watch here and there.
Mhm.
I always do. GDQ is something that like because it's on 24/7 the whole week, it's something that I'm just constantly popping in and out of. I don't necessarily ever. I mean, sometimes there are times where I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make sure I'm here for this time because they're supposed to be playing this
Mhm.
game. Sometimes I look for that, but for the most part, I just like popping in and seeing whatever's happening. It's all fun
Um,
and interesting and cool to me.
yeah, I want to talk more like on length about GDQ next week while we're in the throes of it.
Yeah.
While you rip me away from my watching of it. But one of the things I will say is that like GDQ has like exposed me to a lot of streamers that I watch now. Like there are just people who like because I typically have it on and then like I'll see a run that's really cool or a runner that's particularly charismatic,
Hmm.
and then I'll go like I got to look up their Twitch
Yeah.
or however they stream, and then they get added to the list of people that I'll just like put on now. There's a lot of horror game speedrunners that I've followed because of GDQ, so that's always really fun.
Dope. All right. I plan to play or to try to play Peak this
Mm-hmm.
weekend. Don't know with who yet, but that's just a soft plan that I'm gonna try to find
Mm-hmm.
people Friday or Saturday to play Peak. Also potentially might want to do some of my little trailer watch party stuff this week because I made a whole scene and stuff for watching trailers of or watching whatever really just with like a bunch of people in Discord. So I might do something later in this week where I invite a bunch of people to just hang out in Discord and instead of playing games to watch some trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh have them share trailers, I'll share trailers, whatever. Just hang out and stream it to the internet. But I think that about does it. That does it for us. Next week, next Tuesday, GDQ's happening. That's about all I can think of for. Oh, maybe we'll talk about the this Arksys thing if it's
Yeah, how interesting it
if it
is.
pops off. But we are kind of getting into the like the summer. We just had Summer Game Fest. Now we're heading into kind of like the Summer Game lull, where
The summer games go home and chill.
yeah, where like this, you know, not as much happening right now. Not until the kickoff, literally, when Madden releases. That's when video games start coming out again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yes, yes.
Madden is the sign that summer's over and games are back. Um, so yeah, so we'll be, we'll find something to talk about next week for 2.5, 3 hours, whatever we do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but tune in next time
Mhm.
on.
And stay tuned for the game build.
Oh, that's a good point. When we get together next week, it is the same week that Donkey Kong Bonanza releases.
Isn't it the 17th? Aren't you crazy?
Maybe I am. I thought it was the
Aren't you
5th.
being
You're right.
misled?
It's the 17th. It's the 17th. Why did I think the 5th?
I don't know. I
I thought
don't
it was
know.
July 5th. It's the
Which
17th.
is like the fake day too. You think a game's gonna release on a Saturday? I'm sorry.
It's a fake day. All right. Well, that's been it for the show. Tune in next week. I'm CParks.
And I'm Golden Rose K.
Have a nice day.
I yield my time.
I don't know if I hit the right button. I did.